Hello, my name is Arthur, and in this video we're starting the level graphics or level assets portion of this series for a platformer game. And what we're going to start off with is making our own block. So we're going to replace the Godot block. Now, I haven't given much thought to making a full out tile set. And yeah, that gets a little more complicated. Maybe in the future that's something I would consider doing, but for now we're just going to do more simple stuff and just get the platformer sort of into a functioning state. So we'll start off Control N to make a new image. The image will be 64 by 64, and we're going to fill it with transparency. Okay. We can zoom in on that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open as layers, and we're going to find a Godot block just to look at it. So we can select all, get the rectangle tool, and give it some rounded corners because the corners on a Godot block are rounded. So that's kind of what we're going to do, is we're kind of going to simulate a Godot block but with our own pattern in the middle. So if we zoom in on that, we can see the way that our radius is playing out. It's playing out as subtracting 1 pixel from each corner, and that's not what the radius on the Godot block is doing. So we're going to select in, until it's sitting mostly onto solid color. So that's a radius of 9 on this block. So we're just going to delete this layer now, because that's basically all that I needed to know about the Godot block. So we can come into View and enable Snap to Canvas Edges. For some of the things that we use, we could also enable a grid and configure the grid to be 32 pixels, which should create a crosshairs and let us snap to the exact center of that grid. But I don't know that we're going to do that. We're just going to go with a gradient that spans from corner to corner. Now, if we want to shuffle through gradients, we would just go through them like this. And different gradients have different aspects to them. So which one we want to use, I kind of like the first one. So let's go back and see if we can find that first one again. And I'm just scrolling on the scroll wheel while hovering over the gradients to shuffle through the different appearances like this. And it gives a good idea of just how much can be done just with one single shape for gradient and one single action on our actual tile image here. So I'm going to go with this one though, because I like the way that it looks. It's pretty similar in color scheme to the Godot block, so it's actually not going to change the appearance of our scene much. Now we can select a color and get one that's close to the edge, which you can tell I've already done this in practice once. We'll go to Edit. We'll stroke the selection, so that's going to stroke the ant line, the moving dotted line. We'll use a line width of 2, so we'll stroke that, and it's going to appear outside of the line, so it's kind of wrecked our radius. So what we do here is we invert that and then Control X. and that will cut out. And when we deselect that, what we actually have is virtually the exact same edge that we would get from the Godot cube. It's almost exact. Probably the difference would be in what software was used to make the cube, but the transparent to solid gradient on these corners is almost identical to a Godot block. So this can be done with gradients. We can use different patterns and come up with all sorts of different things. Like, there are so many different things we can do with a block. We're going to just go with the simple one though. We'll save that into our into our project folder as block, and call that block good. So we'll just discard that. We'll take our block, change the sprite over to our own asset. And this is kind of the direction that we're going in with this project, is very geared towards making our own assets. So we'll go into the tile set. We'll get rid of the block for the tile map and add in a tile with our own block. We'll give it the collision. Control save that. Save this. We can just close these down now. And the graphics will be inside of our game, because we only had one tile in the tile map, and we still only have one tile in the tile map, so it just replaced in the level. So yeah, that's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to start making the images for a parallax background. So we'll make 3 layers to create that parallax pseudo 3D impression, where we have 3 layers moving at 3 different speeds and tiling across the level. And until then, take care.